share. Okay, last time we talked about regulation of monopolies. I will be confining our discussion today on regulation of natural monopolies. Okay, this is like owning a pet. You have a bulldog, and bulldog's tendency is to bite people, and that causes a problem, right? So, but it also gives you comfort. So you want to keep it, but there are some constraints. So one way to manage it would be putting up with it, and every once in a while you'll be sued, and then you are liable for the damages. Or euthanasia, that would be breaking up, killing the pet, or in this case, either we put up with monopolies with their high prices, etc., or break up monopolies so that the monopolies would disappear. Well, either one may be a good solution in the usual cases of monopoly, but not natural monopolies. If you break up, if you put up with it, monopolies are going to make lots of profits and consumers complain, price is high, and so on. If you break it up, you're killing the innovative monopolist who is going to spend money to develop new products, new computers, new processors, quantum computers, etc. Who's going to spend all that money to develop these new technologies? So breakup of natural monopoly is not a good solution. You will be creating a bunch of small firms with very high costs, and consumers will end up paying high prices. So that's not a good idea. So the third method is think outside the box. Is there another way to keep the monopoly and making sure that it does not bite people? So let's explore the third method, thinking outside the box. So this diagram, I think you have seen a few times. Here's the demand curve. There's a long run average cost curve, which is declining. So it's best in terms of price or cost. In terms of cost, single or natural monopoly would be best. Production costs would be right there. Average cost would be there. But being a monopolist, he's going to charge high price, monopoly price PM here. If you break it up, price may be rising even higher, like here, okay? So that's not a good solution. A third solution is price regulation. So how do we regulate monopolies instead of killing natural monopolies? One idea that had been suggested was average cost pricing. Let's regulate price. Let's put the bulldog on a leash so it doesn't go near people and bite them, okay? So average cost pricing is simply ask the monopolists to charge their average cost. Price, you impose a condition that price must be equal to average cost. Wow, that's great. So what's going to happen? Well, here is the diagram, same AC curve. I'm assuming, unlike the slides in the top hat, I'm assuming fixed costs is sunken and marginal cost is constant. That pretty well explains the most natural monopolies. So if you force the monopolies to charge the average cost right there, the single monopolist can supply the entire market. So profit of the natural monopolist would be zero. That's great. But come to think of it, is this allocation socially efficient? The answer is no, because price being equal to marginal revenue, and it is above the marginal costs. So if you increase production, social welfare would be improved, okay? So this is the condition of Pareto improvement, which I mentioned a few weeks ago. It's possible for us to raise one's welfare without sacrificing that of another agent, okay? Everybody would benefit. So with average cost pricing, we would be losing this much welfare, okay? This is called the deadweight welfare loss. Price is greater than marginal cost, so increasing production would increase consumer welfare and also increase profit of the monopolist, okay? So average cost pricing is not efficient. It's not efficient. Okay, so, well, then how about marginal cost pricing? Why don't we ask the monopolist to charge marginal cost? That would be inefficient. That would result in an efficient resource allocation. So next diagram shows exactly that. So here is demand curve, and this is marginal cost. So price equal marginal cost. Demand, well, given this marginal cost pricing, the output, equilibrium output of the monopolist would be right there. Price equal marginal cost. Beyond that, demand is less. So this is socially efficient outcome, okay? But lo and behold, price is below average cost. So the natural monopoly is losing this much money. This is the loss. The area of this rectangle is lost. The natural monopolist is losing money with the marginal cost pricing, which means the Congress has to appropriate some funds to bail out these natural monopolies every few years. And the Congress has lots of other uses for these budgets. So this solution, marginal cost pricing, is not politically convenient. There are many other uses of their money, okay? So this is not a politically viable solution. Okay. A third solution is price discrimination. I don't mean based on gender, races, or groups. No, some consumers are willing to pay higher price than others, so why don't we let them do that, okay? So this is a modification of marginal cost pricing. So for some group of consumers, okay, the production would occur at the socially efficient level of output here. Price equal marginal cost right here. So total output is produced. total output produced is Q2. But then the monopolist would be losing this much money. We don't want to beg the Congress for more budget appropriation. So find your own ways to survive. Well, we could charge higher prices for the first block of consumers. These consumers are willing to pay higher price. So instead of going out of business, this way you can survive your discriminating consumers. For the first block of consumers, you're charging a higher price, okay? So they're making money here, they're earning this much profit, losing that much for the next group, and if profit exceeds loss, then we are fine, okay? So price discrimination could be a solution. And this policy has been used in public utilities and also in the airline industries, or in the airline industry, you could call it early bird discounts. So if you low-cost airlines give discounts to consumers booking early. If you're planning to visit, go back to your hometown, meet your parents, etc. after the exam, you will be buying tickets well in advance. And these early birds get discounts. But if you keep waiting, well, I don't know whether I'm going to visit my hometown or not. Well, I need to wait, and then you buy it until the last minute. You have to buy, in order to get some discounts, you have to book early, at least 2 weeks in advance. And if you pass that, well, you have to pay through your nose, okay? So the early birds discounts is one case, is one example of price discrimination. If you have to buy tickets urgently, then you pay much higher price, sometimes double the price of discounted tickets. Also, as flight date approaches, airlines charge higher prices. They know who is urgent, who is visiting, whose price elasticity of demand is high. Business travelers, how do you know whether they are business travelers? You don't have to look at their shoes or suits. If you're flying on from Monday through Friday, you must have urgent business or a funeral or something. So you will be paying high prices through your nose. Other travelers would be paying low prices. Okay, the next item is rate of return regulation. This instead of this policy, this idea was widely used in the latter half of the 20th century. Why don't we regulate the rates of return? So they are investing how much R times K. So this is their investment in the industry, and they need to get decent earnings for that investment. And the monopoly would be allowed to earn normal dividends or returns on their investment. So basically, with rate of return regulation, the monopolist is not taking any risks. It is guaranteed zero profits. Some bio firms, they may be developing like SARS vaccine in Hong Kong, and they spent a whole lot of money and nobody bought the vaccines, or well, they quit developing SARS vaccine, and all that money up to that point that you spent is a waste of money. But the natural monopolies would be guaranteed zero profit, so all those wasted costs would be included here. What I'm trying to say is that there is no incentive for the monopolies to reduce production costs. Everything is covered, even stupid mistakes, stupid investments, like trying to develop room temperatures, superconductivity, etc. It's possible, but you have to increase the pressure million times the air pressure on the surface of the earth, etc. All these strange ideas. Some firms are spending money without really knowing that it's a waste of money. Well, that's research. There is no guarantee that your research will be productive. That's why they're researching. Okay, so what is the problem with the rate of return regulation? This is a AC curve here shows real production cost, average production cost, but then there is no need to economize your expenses. So these monopolies tend to invest in items that have little application or that have a very small chance of success. Monopolies tend to inflate the average cost from AC to AC inflated, okay? So in addition to R times K, that's their normal investment, they need to pay the operating expense like wage bill. They need to pay all these workers, plus depreciation. As you buy more capital equipment, your depreciation cost goes up, and also taxes go up. Federal income tax goes up. So all of these tend to be inflated as the amount of capital goes up. For competitive firms, they would not increase this amount of capital investment easily, but monopolies, natural monopolies, can be easily persuaded. Okay, next topic is the regulatory capture. Who is the regulated and who are the regulator, who is the regulated? Well, regulated firms are the like airline companies or aviation companies like Boeing and Airbus, etc., Lockheed, and so on. And there is a Federal Aviation Administration. This is a regulator of this industry, right? Regulatory capture occurs because the regulator and the regulated, they must be both knowledgeable about the industry. You cannot select someone who don't know anything about the aviation industry. So you have to find an expert. And the regulated person or industry, their CEO and the regulating entity, the regulator, they know each other very well. They may have, they could have been classmates. Otherwise, if they don't know anything about the regulated industry, they will not serve, they will be incompetent. So both the regulated person or the CEO of the regulated industry and the regulator at the federal aviation, whatever, bureau. They know each other, and sometimes they go easy on each other. Okay, so this is sometimes called the regulatory capture. And so some people were suspecting whether cozy relationships existed between the Federal Aviation Bureau or whatever and the Boeing, because there was an accident, flight accident of Boeing 737 MAX. Why did they develop this airplane? Well, Boeing 737 uses a lot of petroleum. In other words, the engine was not well designed. It was using a lot of petroleum, a lot of gasoline. So they tried to improve the design of this Boeing 737 by raising these fuselage this by 6 inches. And it changed the aerodynamics around the airplane, making it unstable, less stable than before, let's say that. And the software designed to control this airflow had a flaw, and that may have been the reason for the first flight accident of Boeing 737 MAX. When the second accident occurred, second fatal accident occurred with Boeing 737 MAX, I think either the president or the government shut down the Boeing 737 MAX. After some months of research, I think they were deemed airworthy again. But not at the moment because of the coronavirus. They are waiting for the right time, I guess. But I think they have been recertified. At any rate, in this particular example, we don't see regulatory capture, but it could happen in many other industries. Lump sum tax is not a good solution. Oh, the monopoly is making too much money. Let's tax them a lot of money. Let's tax them. No, that does not affect the behavior of the natural monopolies, because lump sum tax does not depend on output level. It's simply is an erosion of their profit, okay? So lump sum tax has no effect on the behavior of natural monopolies. Let's consider one more item, price ceiling. So this is sometimes called price cap regulation. Price cap regulation. Sometimes the regulator uses revenue cap. They imposes revenue cap. But price cap is more popular. So one British economist suggests this idea: the regulator can impose price ceiling P bar. So this monopoly price in the absence of regulation, and price ceiling could be a little below that. Okay, so price ceiling is below this. So price is constant up to this point, and then it follows this marginal revenue schedule, okay? So given this horizontal price is marginal revenue of the firm now. So marginal revenue intersects marginal cost right there. So that would be the output. So you see the effect right away. When price ceiling, price cap is below monopoly price, price is not only lower, but the output would be much higher. Output increases. So it has a good effect on the monopolist. And well, one problem is that this could result in micromanagement. This price ceiling may have been okay or may be okay for the next 2 or 3 days. But now China threatens to raise the price of rare earth elements or minerals, or in the Middle East, you have to import some ingredient inputs and their prices are going up. Okay, things happen every week, okay? So the next week, this price ceiling is no longer relevant. You need to raise it or whatever. So if you intervene on a weekly basis, it's going to cause a big headache. It is like go to the office of the CEO of the regulated firm, watching over their shoulders. Hey, raise the price a little bit or lower it by 2 pennies, blah, blah. That would be intolerable, okay? Why don't you manage it yourself? Okay, so this is not a good idea. So once a price ceiling is put in place, it will be effective for usually about 5 years. Okay, and you monitor the profits for about 5 years, and then you can raise the price ceiling, price cap, or lower it, depending on the changes that have occurred. So it's tied to CPI, Consumer Price Index. It also reflects how much capital you have invested. You need to obtain certain returns on your capital. So the total amount of capital must earn some dividends. So it's part of this new formula. Minus X, where X is the if this monopoly, natural monopolies is as efficient as the rest of the firms in the economy, X would be 0. But if this firm is more efficient, like 1% efficient than the average firm in the economy, then you would be subtracting 1%. So you would be lowering the price cap. Okay, so this is their suggested formula. So this price cap is more popular than other methods like marginal cost pricing. No. So this is an expression of average cost pricing, okay? There are many ways to control the average price, but instead of the regulator being a micromanager, you would allow certain freedom to adjust the prices, okay? Now, Do monopolists innovate? Yes. What about competitive firms? There is no way competitive firms would innovate because you would be the one incurring the cost, and once it is developed, everybody copies it, okay? So competitive firms have no incentive to innovate. So we have to put carrots in front of the bulldog. Put no dogs in, dogs don't eat carrots, but at any rate, this is a donkey or something, horse. Yeah, you have to uh, provide some carrots to mobilize these innovative desires of monopolists, okay? Uh, and only the monopolists and oligopolists, those with market power, have an incentive to innovate uh, because there are good reasons. Patent or legal protection is not permanent. As I mentioned before, they have 17-year protection, but in practice, about 10 years only, because you have to apply for patent and then submit clinical studies, 3 phases of clinical studies that would usually take up more than 6 years, and so on, so on. So net protection is about 10 years or less, okay? And even without protection, close substitutes can be invented in the future. And also copycat firms, especially those in Asia, India, and so on. These copycat firms can enter the market anytime. But once you get a patent, you have to specify the formula. And then everybody knows what the formula is, so they can synthetically combine these chemical elements and produce pills. Okay, there are basically 2 types of innovations. One is quality enhancing innovations. So as a preventive measure, the monopolists keep innovating. If they don't, they could be surpassed by other rivals. So we have been using hard disks for more than 3 decades, but now somebody developed the solid state drives. This is a little more expensive, but it's more efficient, it's faster. If you reboot with slow hard disk, this could, my older PC, with my older PC, it took more than 5 minutes to reboot. With a new solid state drive, it takes less than 1 minute. So this will probably, SSD will dominate these computer markets. The other would be cost reducing innovations. Now with the quality improving innovations, there is no limit. So these are the major investments. This is where chicken game is often played, right? Chicken game, chicken. Have you watched the movie Rebel Without a Cause or something like that? You should go watch that movie. I give you a bonus point if you watch it. Summarize the content in 1 or 2 paragraphs. Okay, so right now with system, semiconductor industry system, like personal computers is a CPU CPU, right? It has a CPU, central computing system or something like that. With automobiles, electric cars, there is an electric battery system and so on. In the future, all these system semiconductors will be developed for each of these products, like artificial intelligence and so on. And for each of these, a few companies, if not several, a few companies are competing and playing chicken games. Okay, I guess I'm about done. Cost reducing innovations are kind of minor. Once quality improving innovations are made, then competing firms will be trying to figure out which way they could cut costs. So these are kind of secondary and minor relative to quality improving innovations. Okay, I will stop here. Any questions? Any questions?